suffered and He died for us, but we've got to carry on. We've got to carry on. We've got to carry on.
Imagine going to the dentist and ultimately finding out you have leukemia. That terrible reality is exactly what happened to a Kyle family. KXAN's Casey James sat down with Mark Moreno and his family, who for the past 8 months have been riding a roller coaster of emotions, fighting to save his life.
Meet the Moreno family, a fun bunch who loves to play games, laugh, and keep busy with everyday life.
That's right.
But 8 months ago, a simple visit to the dentist changed everything.
I had to get a tooth pulled. They pulled it on a Friday. I was supposed to be getting better over the weekend. Just kept getting worse and worse.
He didn't look good. He didn't look well at all.
Louis Moreno dropped his son off at Seton Medical Center Hayes right down the street, thinking nothing big was wrong with his only son. Within 20 minutes, the doctors called him.
I'm Dr. So-and-so from the hospital. I think your son has leukemia. We're going to take him to Breckenridge Hospital.
The first thing that goes through everybody's mind when they hear the word cancer: I'm going to die.
So to look in that room and see him, you know, the look on his face, it just, you never forget that.
Just try to comfort him as much as I can, as a mother would, as any mother would.
The 2006 Hayes High School graduate who played in the marching band, is an uncle to 2 little nieces, and a student of Texas State San Marcos, was now diagnosed with acute lymphoblastic leukemia.
You go through anger. I was kind of mad for, I don't know, maybe 2 days, and then I just started dealing with it.
So far, Mark has gone through 6 separate chemo treatments to kill the cancer in his blood.
My mother was there the entire time.
You don't want your child to go through that, so give it to me. I know that he's going to get better soon. And I don't like for him to see me this way, but I know it's going to be okay.
A mother's tears as she looks at her son, whose cancer is in remission at the moment. But doctors said Mark must have a bone marrow transplant to beat the leukemia.
But they know that somewhere in there is that little cancer cell that's waiting just to come back out.
Hispanics only make up 10% of the bone marrow donors in the entire world. With no one in his family a good candidate, Mark's chances for finding a donor were growing slim. That was until a few days ago, when the family learned a possible donor had been found.
It's just hard to explain your emotions. You know, this is a roller coaster. Even the good, even the great is part of the ride.
Giving Mark a fighting chance to live another day so he can give hope to those facing the same battle.
To donate their stem cells, to donate their blood, to go out there and do the right thing to help other people.
Next week, Mark will go through one more chemo treatment before the stem cell transplant at MD Anderson in Houston. Doctors tell Mark this is treatable and believe he can make a full recovery. We'll be sure to keep you updated on his progress. Casey James, KXAN News.
To become a bone marrow donor, it just takes a simple mouth swab to see if you're a match. DKMS is the world's largest bone marrow donor center and says technology has come a long way for those who decide to help save a life. What used to be a painful operation can now often be done through blood transfusion, giving little side effects, and it's done in just a few hours. If you would like to learn more on how you could help, visit our website, KXAN.com.
They are fighting to save their son's life after a visit to the dentist left him diagnosed with leukemia. We first told you last month about the story of the Moreno family from Kyle. KXAN's Casey James has been spending time with them for the past month, and he traveled to Houston, where they hope a stem cell transplant will be the Christmas miracle they've been looking for.
Well, Robert, it could be a miracle thanks to new technology that has taken a complicated procedure into a simple one. Well, it's been an emotional and draining 8 months for the Moreno family. Mark, a 24-year-old Texas State University student, has already gone through 7 separate chemo treatments before receiving his transplant. We were in Houston during the entire transplant and found out the Moreno family weren't alone in this experience.
I never considered myself less fortunate. I guess up until April, when I had to rely on so many families and friends and their support.
Terry Moreno's strength is being tested this holiday season as her only son battles acute lymphoblastic leukemia in a hospital room far away from the comforts of home.
We've been watching Christmas movies and, you know, try to make it feel like home. I keep telling myself it's just a little step that we're going to have to endure for now and for things that are going to be better, you know, soon.
The initial infusion's done.
Doctors said Mark needs a bone marrow transplant to beat the cancer in his blood. That's what brought him to Houston, but treatment to prepare Mark for his transplant has been incredibly hard on his body.
And Mark just went through a week-long treatment of chemo, is now highly susceptible to infections, so we have to wear gloves and masks and even wipe down our cameras before we can go in and see him.
It'll drain you fast and it'll keep you drained. They're very understanding of, you know, you have your good days, you have your bad days.
Donor is O positive.
Our cameras were allowed inside the core cell lab at MD Anderson, where they prepare the stem cells for cancer patients.
We are basically processing it on this machine to wash out all of the protective additives that they added to it during the freeze process.
Mark will receive stem cells from the blood of an unknown mother's umbilical cord by separating the healthy cells from the blood.
Let's remove this extra fluid from it and get only the cells, which are what's going to be helpful to the patient.
After 45 minutes, it's time to take the healthy cells to Mark's room, where family, doctors, nurses, and a priest are waiting.
We ask you to bless these cells.
This is a time of hope. This is a time for a new chance.
God bless you.
It takes only 30 minutes to transfuse the new cells into Mark's blood, where doctors hope they will take and grow.
I don't know if we'll ever know who the donors were, but we're forever going to be grateful for that.
Is that way? You want to go that way?
Yeah.
But Terry knows other mothers haven't been as lucky.
You got it?
Their son is only 2 years old, and my heart just goes out to them.
A young couple from Dallas shares the same obstacles.
I see my baby boy, so I can imagine what she's going through, you know, only, you know, as him being so small.
The two mothers have been each other's support system since they met at the hospital.
It's great to know that we have each other.
I don't wish this on anybody. I don't. But if you do, please have faith.
No, go walk.
You want to go walk?
2-year-old Ethan was diagnosed with leukemia AML on his 2nd birthday.
All done.
After months of chemo, the only solution left is a direct bone marrow transplant from his mom.
Knowing that Ethan can get something a part of me, it's even brings us together even more.
And only 10% of Hispanics make up the bone marrow donors in the entire world. Despite the odds, Ethan's mother is a match for her son. We will share their story tonight at 10. And I just talked with Mark's father, who says he has been battling an infection after the transplant and has been in ICU. But today, on Christmas Eve, has been improved enough to go back to his regular room. We wish both Mark and Ethan the very best.
One family from Kyle is hoping for a miracle this Christmas Eve. Their son is recovering from a stem cell transplant at a Houston hospital. 24-year-old Mark Moreno received a stem cell transfusion. The blood came from a donated umbilical cord. KXAN's cameras were there. They were allowed to capture this entire process. What used to be a complicated and painful procedure can now be done through a simple blood transfusion.
They're very understanding of, you know, you have your good days, you have your bad days.
Whether it be spending it in here or in our new little apartment here in Houston, we're going to have Christmas.
Mark will have to stay in Houston for several months as doctors monitor him. A Houston church helped find his family that temporary apartment so they can stay nearby. The Moreno family isn't the only one hoping for a miracle this Christmas. They found a common bond with a couple from Dallas. They're on a similar journey with their toddler at Houston's MD Anderson Cancer Center. Our Casey James has their story.
That way?
You want to go that way?
Yeah.
Their son is only 2 years old, and my heart just goes out to them.
The initial infusion's done.
Even though Terry Moreno is going through the same struggles her son, who is 24 years old, she's thankful he was able to experience life a little before he became a cancer patient.
Who is this guy?
Tigers.
Meet Ethan Sanchez. Just before his 2nd birthday, his parents didn't understand why their son was constantly getting sick.
Mommy.
Then one day, little Ethan lost the use of his legs. Sonia and her husband rushed him to the hospital.
Wait, don't hold on.
On Ethan's second birthday, doctors diagnosed him with leukemia AML.
Don't go walk.
You want to go walk?
After 7 months of chemo in Dallas, a bone marrow transplant at MD Anderson is his last chance to beat the blood cancer. Despite the slim odds of finding a compatible donor, Sonia was a match.
We were shocked and excited at the same time.
Due to the seriousness of Ethan's case, bone marrow will have to be pulled directly from Sonia's back, a painful process. One Sonia has no problem doing.
Knowing that Ethan can get something a part of me, brings us together even more.
Giving Ethan a fighting chance at life. Casey James,
Hold on.
KXAN News.
And late today, Casey spoke with Ethan's mother, Sonia. She said the transplant went very well, even though Ethan feels sick. Doctors say if things continue to go well, Ethan can leave the hospital in 2 weeks. Now, only 10% of Hispanics make up bone marrow donors in the world. That's why the Sanchez and Moreno families want to bring awareness to everybody, encouraging them to donate.
Lord carried the cross for us, freed us from our sins. He suffered and he died for us, but we've got to carry on. We've got to carry on. We've got to carry on. Lord our Father, He gave us His Son. Loves us so much it seems that we're gonna be in heaven with Him, but we've got to carry on. We've got to carry on.